Hey guys, what's up? It's Katie and I'm back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video, and today we are going to be taking an in-depth look at the Uncollected Tigra boss and how you can easily defeat her. So first, let's go ahead and get into it and take a look at her abilities, which is Rupture. Now, Rupture is while the opponent is neutralized, if they fail to gain a buff through chance, inflict a rupture dealing X physical damage over 1 second, cooldown 1 second. So Rupture is where her damage comes from, and this is why you do not want to bring some cosmics in here, specifically those ones who get buffs. Now, as long as you don't get hit, you don't really have to worry too much about the Rupture. Now, neutralize is when you get hit. So if you gain a buff while neutralized, you're going to take damage. So keep that in mind. So I dexted right here. Dexted, had it neutralized, and that's where you see those numbers coming from. All right, so back to Rupture, right? So here it is again. The dex was neutralized, which caused a rupture, and that is where you're seeing those big red numbers, that 5,036. That is from the rupture, so not fun. All right, so again, you're not gonna want to bring anyone who gets a lot of buffs. Who gets a lot of buffs? Cosmic champs get a lot of buffs. So let's take a look at the node and the interactions with the node, right? So Tigra, while the opponent is neutralized, again, if they fail to gain a buff through chance, inflict rupture dealing X physical damage over 1 second, cooldown 1 second. Now, she's got this node with her called Power Snack 2. Every 7 seconds, the next buff triggered by the attacker is immediately nullified. Each time this effect triggers, the defender gains 50% of a bar of power. So, what does this mean? Well, this is what it means. So, there we see the dex, and there we see the power. So, there's the dex, and there is the 50% power gain that she has from the node. So this is really important because if she gets over 2 bars of power like she is here, there I dexted the attack and boom, we are, or not we, but she is at her special 3. And while her special 3 animation is super cool, not something you want to take because it does a good amount of damage. Okay, so now you may be asking yourself, well, what are some good options to, get around that? And well, there's weakness. And this kind of plays into her unblockable ability. Yeah, we'll call it that. So if affected by weakness, slow, or exhaustion debuffs, prevent the activation of Tigra's personal miss and unblockable effects. Now the miss, you don't really have to worry about here. This is more offensively for you if you're playing Tigra. It's the unblockable that you have to worry about, which comes in with her special attacks. So what does that mean? Well, let's take a look, right? So if we take a look there, we've got the weakness on her. So this means that her specials will not be unblockable as long as the weakness, slow, or exhaustion is on place. So me personally, I run Resonate, so that's going to put the weakness debuff on her. But a lot of the science class already puts, these kinds of debuffs on. So, Void will put weakness. You've got, of course, a lot of the science like Red Guardian, She-Hulk, Spider-Gwen that can put the slow on, so that is always good. Luke Cage with the exhaustion. Plus, Papa Luke hits like a truck too once you get those exhaustions stacked. Okay, so let's take a look a little bit more at her nodes, right? Because these nodes, she's got quite some interesting node interactions here, right? So she's got Feline Ferocity, so the duration of both her Primal and Huntress senses are going to be increased by 75%. And then you've got the Power Snack 2, which we already went over, and that's gonna have a cool interaction, but I'll get to that in a minute. Then we've got the Bane of Damballa that you really don't have to worry too much about. But Life Transfer, this is what's going to save your butt. So the opponent suffers a permanent degen effect, losing 2% of their max health per second, but life stealing 125% of their damage done. The life steal percentage is affected by class relationships. So you're gonna wanna definitely bring in, the class is advantage. You're not gonna wanna bring in the class disadvantage here. Again, don't wanna bring in a cosmic here. And then you have this power draw, which at first glance seems like it's beneficial to you, right? whenever the attacker inflicts the defender with a damage debuff, the attacker is granted a power gain buff, increasing defensive combat rate by 10% for 10 seconds, right? Good in theory, not when you're coupled it with power snack 2. Every 7 seconds, the next buff triggered by the attacker is immediately nullified. Each time this effect triggers, the defender gains 50% of a bar of power. So, beneficial for you, not really. More beneficial for Tigra, because if you put a DOT on her, you're gonna get a power gain buff, she's gonna neutralize that and gain 50% of a bar of power. So kind of keep that in mind. So now that we talked about that, let's take a look at her special attack. So first, let's take a look at her special 2, right? So if the opponent is far away from Tigra at any point during a special attack, she gains unblockable for the next hit. And this is also true for the special attack too. Landing an unblockable strike inflicts rupture, dealing X physical damage over 8 seconds. So this is why having the weakness, exhaustion, or slow is important, so you can kind of mitigate that unblockable ability that she has. Okay, so let's take a look at her special attack. So on activation, alternate between triggering primal senses and huntress senses. The senses last for 14 seconds. It's paused while the opponent is neutralized. Now the primal sense, whenever inflicting rupture, deal a burst of physical damage based on the number of damaging debuffs on the opponent. So the more ruptures you have, the more damage that she's going to do to you. Then you have the huntress sense, 10% chance for all non-contact hits from special attacks to miss. So that's kind of important, but not really, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. It's more or less this rupture that you need to kind of deal with. So let's take a look at the special 1, right? So here we've got the weakness on her. And so we're trying to bait out the special 1. So there, the weakness expired and she went unblockable. Now Red Guardian can block unblockable attacks, which is great for fighting her. It's almost like Kabam released her counter before they released her. Okay, but again, you can see the weakness expired and then she became unblockable right there. So you do need to pay attention to the timers of your slow and weakness debuffs. Now this is a 3-hit special attack. It's definitely the easiest one to dodge and it's very easy to punish. So if you can, keep her at her special 1. Bringing power control champs for that is the way to go. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at her special 2. Each hit has a 10% chance to inflict rupture, dealing X physical damage over 4 seconds. Each damaging debuff on the opponent increases the chance of inflicting rupture during this special attack by a flat 10%. So let's go ahead and take a look at her special 2. Now this is one that can be kind of dicey because it's long reaching, and it has a lot of hits, which means it has more of a chance for her to go unblockable even if you have the exhaustion, weakness, and slow debuff on if it expires. So here we go. Here you could see right then and there when the weakness expired and she went unblockable, and look how far this comes across the screen at you. So let's slow it down some more and take a look at the hits. So she's got 1 there, she comes down, there's 2, so you still gotta back up, right? Because it's not over. There's the flying kick, leaping back, she's unblockable again because she's far away from you, and then she comes back again. There's another one, and you think it's done, and oh, it's not even close to being done yet because there's a slash, and then another one, a lunge towards you, and boom, that is the final hit of it. It's a 6-hit special. It is far, it is long, so try not to push her to the special 2. Okay, so now let's take a look at her heavy attack. Now her heavy attack isn't hard to dodge. It's a 3-hit heavy, and it is very similar, honestly, to me towards Sabertooth. It reminds me a lot of Sabertooth's heavy. So it's pretty easy. Okay, so now what are my thoughts about Tigra? Honestly, she's really not as hard as I thought she was going to be. I thought she was going to be a little bit difficult. The nodes definitely kind of boost her up a little bit. If you bring in a science champ, you're gonna smoke her. You can come in here with, you know, if you don't have Red Guardian, you don't need Red Guardian, Luke Cage can do it, Spider-Gwen, She-Hulk is queen for this. A lot of the Mystics too, you can get some power control, magic, also the OG Visions or Vision Age of Ultron, he's another good one. If you've got the 4-star, he can do it as well. Warlock is another really good counter to her with his power control that he has. So, but anyways, guys, that's all that I got. Let me know in the comments below, Did you enjoy this breakdown of the Uncollected Tigra? Who did you find to be the best counter to her? Do you think that Kabam released Red Guardian as a counter directly to this champion? Let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and hit me up in the Discord chat. Thanks, guys. Bye!